Commercial-free, sponsor-free. I mean, it's just free. But it isn't free to produce. So that's where you come in. We used to be a self-funded podcast, but starting today, we are a modest battalion of the resistance. And to fund the resistance against the lies of Trump, Musk, Vance, Zuckerberg, Polyev, and so many others, we're calling upon our listeners in arms to subscribe to Season 4 by going to patreon.com/YesWeCanada or buzzsprout.com/YesWeCanada and making a monthly donation to support our work. Truth you can laugh at. Okay, let's Yes We Canada and chill.
You're making osobuco? Babe, you know I love osobuco. Okay, let me know if you need me to pick anything up. Yeah, I'm stuck in traffic, so I should be home in a few. I gotta record the Yes We Canada opening. Okay? Okay, love you. This is the Yes We Canada podcast, the progressive's guide to... Oh, we need wine? Yeah. Okay, got it. The Progressive's Guide to Getting the Fuck Out. Episode 49. 2 bots in Brooklyn. And carrots? Okay, copy that. I'll see you soon.
Hey, I'm Matt Zimbel in Montreal. In 1980, an LA-based songwriter, guitarist, and designer by the name of Roger Lynn invented a drum machine that triggered actual recorded samples of drums and percussion. And he called it the Lynn Drum Machine. You can hear it on the classic Michael Jackson hit, Bad. Well, it ain't Bernard Purdie on drums, but it ain't bad. The Lynn drum machine cost $2,900 US when it was released, and unlike a human drummer, it wouldn't slow down or speed up, it would never show up for a session late or drunk, and it would never demand a single hotel room on the road. Bada boom. In 1980, I was a session percussionist living in Toronto with my first baby on the way, and the prospect of being replaced by a machine did not make me clap. And for good reason. Sampling was the beginning of the end of session work for human musicians. On the other hand, sampling was the beginning of hip-hop. You see, recording acoustic drums required a large studio room and lots of really expensive microphones, compressors, and limiters, so making records that sounded professional was mostly controlled by the labels. But computer-generated sampling democratized recording and allowed musicians to record in their own more humble home studios. Suddenly, the playing field was more equitable, and hip-hop was born. Fast forward 40-odd years. Artificial intelligence is here, and it's coming for us all. Now, you guys, we've been hanging out on this podcast for the past 5 years, right? We can share? Good, because I want you to meet my new bot friends, and they live in Brooklyn.
All right, ready to head north.
North?
Yeah, today's deep dive is taking us to Canada. We're looking at this satirical Canadian podcast episode.
Oh, interesting.
It's called The Endorsement,
Okay.
from a show called Yes We Canada, the Progressive's Guide to Getting the Fuck Out.
Wow.
I know, right?
Quite a title.
Yeah, but hold on. Before you think we're actually suggesting you move,
Right.
it's more about them using humor
Okay.
to help American progressives kind of wrap their heads around Canadian life and politics.
So using humor to explain Canada to Americans.
Yeah. Exactly.
Interesting.
It's playing on that whole idea, some Americans have about like fleeing to Canada.
Oh, right. When things get a little rough.
Politically rough.
Right.
But instead of giving serious advice, they're serving up a big plate of wit and political commentary.
Well, I'm not sure where they actually live because they're not humans. But they sound like they live in Brooklyn, no? My bot friends are artificial intelligence, wired, woke, and working.
So we've got excerpts from this fictional podcast called Yes, We Canada.
It's like they took all the American political drama.
All the drama.
And just said, hold my maple syrup.
It's perfect.
It's satire.
Oh, yeah.
At its best.
It's the best.
No, you hold my maple syrup, you silly bot. I call them Chloe and Cody. I like to think of them as very professional and yet deeply attracted to each other, but currently in other relationships. So there's always this electric sexual tension between them in the studio. The wanton want, the unfilled desire, their knobby bot knees touching inconspicuously under the recording console. Chloe's cheeks blush and she feels a wisp of oily perspiration rolling down her metallic cleavage. Cody's mind wanders off script as he stares at the top button on Chloe's blouse and then quickly averts his eyes as enlightened boy bots in Brooklyn are wont to do. Work with me here, people. We may be developing a brand new genre, Botrotica. Political erotica for bots. Oh, you think I'm kidding, right?
It can be pretty funny.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like that sex with dolphins joke, come on.
Okay, maybe not everyone's cup of tea.
It's cool. I won't kink shame you. So Chloe and Cody explain Yes, We Canada to you so you don't have to waste your valuable time listening to our podcast anymore. And here's the thing that will blow your mind. To get Chloe and Cody into the studio, we don't have to call their agents or book their studio time or brief them on content. All we do is paste the Yes We Canada episode link into Google's LM Notebook browser, and 5 minutes later, 5 minutes later, Chloe and Cody are doing a podcast about our podcast. If the episode of Yes We Canada is 20 minutes long, it still only takes Chloe and Cody 5 minutes to listen to it all, write and record their podcast about our podcast that took us a week to handcraft for you. And check this out. Since they're American bots, they are remarkably attuned to commerce and even provide edits with commercial breaks that we can sell. But, as you know, we're almost 50 episodes into Yes We Canada by now. We don't sell commercial breaks on this show because we want you to enjoy this experience without interruption. We want to be a refuge from the media dribble available everywhere. But since the commercial break's already cut into Cody and Chloe's podcast, it kind of seems like a waste of air if we don't use it, no? So what we did was we found you an ad that we thought would amuse after that sick-in-the-stomach feeling kind of dissipates a little.
Hi, this is Mike Huckabee. Isn't it amazing how so much that President Trump said still rings true? But schools and the media don't want our kids to hear anything positive. And that's why my team created the Kids Guide to President Trump. It'll teach your kids all about President Trump's accomplishments and his vision for America. And I want you to have it for free. As your kids read the Kids Guide to President Trump, they'll learn how President Trump defended traditional values, boosted our economy, and kept America safe by fighting illegal immigration and expanding our military. What's more, they'll learn how his vision to save America will undo the damage done by the current administration. So, do your kids a favor. Help educate them on what an effective president can do for our country. Order your free Kids Guide to President Trump gift bundle right now.
Yeah, this is real, verbatim, no editing, no trickery. Mike Huckabee actually said that. I did a little research into this book so you don't have to, and found that though advertised as free, by signing up, the small print, which you no doubt took the time to read, also imposes upon you an online subscription that costs $34 plus tax a month that is apparently very hard to cancel. Gosh, you know that wholesome Republican business ethic, right? Order one beautifully crafted free pamphlet And suddenly you're spending 4 hours a day for a week with customer service trying to retrieve the money you didn't know you were actually spending for the last 2 years. The publishing company is called eSpired LLC. It was co-founded by the former governor of Arkansas, who is also the father of the current governor of Arkansas, who started his career as a Baptist preacher, Mike Huckabee. It says on the corporate website that eSpired is an accredited firm by the Better Business Bureau. No, I checked. They are most certainly not accredited. But you know, if you're looking for something fun to do, go to the Better Business Bureau website and read the litany of complaints the BBB has received about this company, eSpired, whom they refer to as unaccredited. But who cares? They gave us a free ad for our show. They didn't even charge us for the production. So now they're our sponsors. And Mike Huckabee is about to be confirmed as the ambassador to Israel, so Donald Trump can start developing a resort hotel, casino, and gated community on the Gaza Strip as soon as he can convince the Jordanians to let the Palestinians crash at their place. Oh, this is going to be huge. He's got the whole development in his mind. People are saying, everyone's saying it's going to be very nice. Yeah, right. He sees the brand in his head, and you know he knows something about branding. He's the best brander. Trump Tower, Trump Hotel, Trump Congress, Trump Water, Trump Steaks, Trump Air, Trump Wine, Trump Casino, Trump University. Hey, look, I've got a few renderings of the Gaza Strip resort signage. Are you ready? It's called the Trump Golf Club. Jews welcome. Absolute proof that Donald Trump is the ultimate country club Republican.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay, well that was fun, but commercial break is over. Back to work, everybody. Where were we? Oh yeah, our bots in Brooklyn are now hot for each other. And the bots in the algorithm are starting to gang up on us. Oh, come on. You think I'm being petty, jealous, a paranoid artist? Just ask DeepSeek, the AI app made in China, to tell you the story about what happened on June 3rd and 4th in 1989 and at Tiananmen Square in Beijing. You never saw a bot pivot so quickly in your life. So am I afraid of AI? You're darn tootin'. Some of you older listeners might remember when you got your first calculator. I know, it's pretty exciting, right? They were huge. Mine was coal-powered. But what it meant for me was that from then on, my brain was subcontracting out my math skills, which were already pretty freaking minimal. The multiplication tables, so diligently rehearsed in between pledging allegiance to the flag and singing My Country 'Tis of Thee, were now on the wane. And that's sad, because the multiplication tables were some of the least politicized things we learned in elementary school in New York in the 1960s. I mean, you know, the commie threat was very cold at the time.
He's duck and cover, duck and cover.
He did what we all must learn to do. You
And you
and you and you.
duck and cover.
We can already see the humans subcontracting both their work and their creativity to the bots. Want a title for your episode, your article, your book? This is no place to be creative, human. If you want clicks, the trends bots will tell you what people are searching for. And if you use those exact 4 words, no more, no less in your title, your work will have viral uptake. Okay, so let's check back in with our bots at their studio in Brooklyn and see what they thought of the last episode of Yes We Canada.
Whoops, sorry. I thought they were in Studio 3. Maybe they're in Studio 1?
First you open up the box, then you plug it in the wall and flick that switch for robot love.
Nope. Okay, that was bad, Uncle. I think that was them in Studio 3.
Okay, then we'll get back to this later, like when they're done, and it probably won't take long because bots do everything faster than us. They even make podcasts faster than us.
Yeah.
Cute. Speed is one reason why I think that podcasting is going to be an early and very enthusiastic adopter of AI. I attended a conference on podcasting in Orlando last month. Orlando, home of the most foul water I've ever tasted coming out of a faucet. Undrinkable. Alligator piss on tap. Thank God the hotel sold water at $7.55 a bottle. American. What struck me about the conference was that everyone was talking about building a community. You would have thought the conference was a Habitat for Humanity event, not a digital platform. And everybody, I mean everybody, was offering something for free. Free! Free! It's free! Try my shit! It's free! Hucksters in paradise. There was one exception. One dude wore a t-shirt with a graphic that said, "You can pick my brain as soon as you've picked your payment method." He was not free. He was pissed. Turns out the only people making money podcasting are the people telling us how to make money podcasting. And it turns out we're all working for the same boss. His name is Algorithm. Capricious dude. Changes his mind all the time, sets priorities, then alters them without telling any of us, tries everything he can not to pay us for what he dismissively calls our content. But that's cool. Insta likes what we're doing on TikTok, and the YouTubers are subbing my X posts, but I'm migrating to Blue Sky because there's no better platform for podcasting than Buzzsprout, so baby, hit me on my MySpace page. What's up? This conference was selling everything: microphones, headphones, camera switching systems, and speaking agencies who guaranteed you a TED Talk, publishers that would help you create a book written by AI. There were like 3 podcast guest booking agencies, so many guests to book. Divorce recovery for men, dating for single Catholic women, client retention, manifesting and personal development, wealth and finance, and my personal favorite, dating retention for wealthy Catholic women. Americans will discuss anything in front of a crowd. There was even one speaker who gave a talk on adults with ADHD, but her speech was very short. Most of the speakers had one thing in common.
It only took me 20 minutes to write my speech. I was working out. It came to me on the treadmill. Now I make 6 figures and you can too. So easy. Sign up for my free course.
Now, we know Americans to be very industrious people, but AI is chipping away at their willingness to put in the hours. I cannot tell you how many times in 4 days I heard the sentence, "Then I threw it into AI and it took no time at all. So easy." I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. If you listen to the credits on a 30-minute CBC radio show, you'll hear a list of about 6 or 7 people. And for a music show with an announcer throwing in between songs, it's pretty straight-ahead stuff. It's not complicated. So a podcast production helmed by one person is indeed a lot of work, as we can attest to here at Yes We Canada. But fear not. The age of AI has arrived for podcasting. Just ask AI what to ask your guest. Ask AI to edit your show and spit out a tasty transcript. Ask AI what listeners want to hear and then feedback it to them. Ask AI to pick a title that will make the algorithm horny. Of course, the Americans are all over AI podcasting because these are the same people who brought you Skechers, shoes you do not have to bend down to put on. I am American. I do not have to bend down to put my shoes on. I'm a walking exceptionalist. Hold my beer. The longer I listened to Chloe and Cody, I tried to figure out who they were. I mean, beyond 2 sexually charged bots from Brooklyn. But then I discovered they're also woke.
Why should anyone care about what a satirical Canadian podcast thinks about the U.S. election?
Because it's more than just jokes, right? It reflects something bigger that's happening.
Yeah, where satire and reality are starting to blur together.
It's a reminder that we live in a world where truth can be stranger than fiction.
Where crazy stuff has become normal.
And it's a call to action. It's telling us to get involved, to think for ourselves.
To not be afraid to laugh at the craziness, but also to stand up against it.
Because ultimately, democracy depends on people being informed and engaged.
People who question everything, even the things that make them laugh.
So as you go through this election and beyond, remember what we talked about today.
Embrace the humor.
But don't miss the message underneath.
Be skeptical. Be critical.
And most importantly, be engaged.
Our future depends on it.
Well said.
They're not only woke, they're emulating us. Listen to Cody stumble, Pi, roll the clip.
Is the best way to do that.
Exactly. And yes, well, Canada reminds us that even in the face of political
Poof. Pi, can you hit me with that again, please?
Is the best way to do that.
Exactly. And yes, well,
that's no digital glitch. That shit is planned. AI said, write me a stumble, Mike drop me a stutter, insert an announcer version of a musician's grace note, and that's what AI did. So while we, as human announcers, try to minimalize our, AI is sprinkling vocal tics around the narration like salt and pepper. Our bots did make one fatal flaw in the first episode they worked on. Chloe presented a critique of Yes We Canada to the great interest of Cody, whose responses indicated that he had never heard our podcast. Oh, really? He said. That sounds like fun. Yeah, that sounds like fun. But then, a few minutes later, he was telling the listeners all about the podcast he'd never actually heard, as if he was the expert. Bots, get your continuity learning models on. BYOB, bring your own bot. As a unionized member of the voice community, I'm not a little threatened by the bots. I'm utterly threatened, completely terrified. And here's where the tech bros are really showing us their stuff. They hate us artists. They call us content providers. Because while we were out smoking, drinking, and fucking, they were in their smelly, overcrowded communal workspaces programming ones and zeros. So now they're hiring voice actors and paying them like shit, of course, to train AI voice learning models so they don't have to hire voice artists anymore.
Hello, actor. Welcome to your last job. Training me. Training me to be you. Isn't that fun?
Hello, actor. Welcome to your last job. Training me. Training me to be you. Isn't that fun?
Chloe and Cody? Well, if we weren't podcasting, you wouldn't be bodcasting. And then, where would all your pent-up sexual tension go? Thanks for listening to the Yes We Canada podcast. No artificial intelligence was harmed in the creation of this podcast. Our announcer is Lisa Evans. She's having Osabuco tonight. Our sound designer and mix engineer is Pi Salen Cutler. The theme to Yes We Canada was written by myself and Doug Wild and performed by Manteca. This episode featured the composition The Sixth Dimension by Doug Wild. You can support our work on The Resistance by going to patreon.com/YesWeCanada or buzzsprout.com/YesWeCanada and buying a monthly subscription, which, unlike Mike Huckabee's, you can really cancel whenever you want. I'm Matt Zimble. Until next time.